History's greatest forgery. Have you ever felt unappreciated? Have you ever thought that your talent would never be recognized by the world? This is exactly how Dutch artist Han van Meegeren felt. His solution? Pulling off one of history's most daring and successful acts of forgery. By the way, if you don't know the word forgery, that means the action of forging or producing a copy of a document, signature, banknote, or work of art. Han van Meegeren had loved art since he was a child. Born in Holland in the late 19th century, Van Meegeren spent many years trying to become recognized as an artist. However, art reviewers did not like his work. They called his paintings unoriginal and derivative, arguing that it was too similar to what had already been done by more famous Dutch artists. Derivative? I don't even know this word, so let me check. It means like initiative and like an original, and yeah, just like that. So it means the antonym of it is creative. Let's continue reading. Van Meegeren believed that the critics were mistaken about him. He decided to prove them wrong, to make them appreciate his talent without them ever knowing it. Van Meegeren's plan relied upon his knowledge of the Dutch artist Johannes Vermeer, who painted during the 1600s. Although Vermeer only produced around 30 paintings, he became one of the most famous artists ever to come out of Holland. Because Van Meegeren was so familiar with Vermeer's work, he was confident that he could imitate his style perfectly. How perfectly? He thought that he could pass off his own painting as an original Vermeer. In 1932, Van Meegeren began to research the types of canvases, paints, brushes, and techniques that were used by Dutch artists in the 1600s. He knew that if he wanted to convince art experts that his work was of Vermeer, he would have to make the painting seem like it was actually produced in the 17th century. Van Meegeren brought 17th century canvases and used the same types of paint brushes that Vermeer had used. He made his own paints during the raw materials that would have been available during Vermeer's time. Van Meegeren was even able to make the paints look as if they were 300 years old. First, he mixed paints with a chemical called phenol formaldehyde. When the painting was dry, he baked it in the oven and then pressed it with a heavy weight. This process cut cracks in the paint, making it seem as if it were much older than it actually was. After 6 years of hard work, Van Meegeren felt that he had perfected his technique. He was ready to try to pass off his work as Vermeer's. In 1937, he created a work that he titled Supper at Emmaus. Certain that his painting would be accepted as a Vermeer, he allowed an art expert, Dr. Abraham Predicus, to inspect it. Predicus was thoroughly convinced. Not only did he believe that it was an original Vermeer, he praised it as a work of genius. The painting was sold to the Ramden Society for 520,000 Dutch guilders, roughly the equivalent of $7.5 million US dollars today. The painting was then hung in a museum in Rotterdam as part of a special exhibit of Dutch masterpieces. Encouraged by his success, Van Meegeren continued to produce brilliant imitations that consistently fooled art experts. Over the next several years, he earned roughly $30 million from his forgeries. Van Meegeren purchased mansions, hotels, jewelries, works of art, and dozens of other luxury items. Once he ran out of things to buy, he hid hundreds of thousands of dollars in his properties, burying money in gardens, stashing under floorboard, and secreting it away in heating ducts. Although Van Meegeren himself was still completely unrecognized as an artist, he was now fabulously rich. In 1940, Nazi government forces occupied Holland. Van Meegeren sold a Vermeer painting titled Christ and the Adulteress to an art dealer, who then sold it to a high-ranking Nazi military leader, Hermann Göring. Goring already had a very large collection of art he and his staff had spent years purchasing and later stealing masterpieces from Nazi occupied countries around Europe. In 1945, the Allied forces regained control of Poland. Goring's art collection was seized. Officials discovered that Van Meegeren had sold Christ and the others to Goring. Van Meegeren was arrested, selling an original Vermeer, which was considered a national treasure to the Nazis, was considered an act of treason. The punishment for this crime was death. So it means treason, right? I mean like treachery. The crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. Faced with a death sentence, Van Meegeren had no choice but to confess to his forgery. He told police that he was the one who had painted Christ in the outer terrace because it was not an original Vermeer. He had not actually sold a national treasure to the Nazis. Van Meegeren then admitted to his past acts of forgery. However, Van Meegeren's copy was so skillful that no one believed him. In order to prove his claims, Van Meegeren had to paint another Vermeer in front of witnesses. The last forgery was titled Jesus among the doctors. The art experts were convinced Van Meegeren would clear of treason charges, but sentenced to 1 year in prison for fraud. Unfortunately, Van Meegeren died of a heart attack shortly after his trial. He never served a day of his sentence. Although Van Meegeren has spent years as a criminal, he died somewhat of a hero. During his trial, he argued that selling Christ and the artist to Goring was actually an act of patriotism. Van Meegeren claimed that by successfully cloning Goring, he was actually acting out of love for Holland. The Dutch people believed him. When he died, he was not only thought of as a brilliant art forger, but also as the person who tricked one of the most hated men in the world. His paintings seem like authentic Vermeers, except this one. The painting separate Imas. I need to find that kind of detail in order to answer this question about the separate Imas painting. Okay, see it right? By Vermeer, not Van Meegeren. Van Meegeren. Which sentence from the passage provides the best evidence that Van Meegeren was a very talented artist? According to the passage, why did Van Meegeren finally admit to the forgery? Not only before he died, Van Meegeren told a reporter, "I'm sure about one thing. They will just forget all about it. My paintings will become original Vermeers once more. I produced them not for money but for art's sake." Which paragraph in this passage contains information seems to contradict the final sentence in this quotation. Oppose, challenge, or disapprove. Paragraph 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, 4 this, right? 4, 5, and 6. Okay, I found this. It is in paragraph 6, right? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Đang làm bên này. Im mẹ thực the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Based on information provided in the passage, which choice places the following events in the correct order? Invade Holland, is convinced pains Jesus 1, 3, and 2. No? Wait. Jesus among the doctors is Vermeer 1, 3, and 2. Christ. It's like NASA's forces invade Holland 1, 2, and is Vermeer in the correct order? Guys, I'm so confused that Migrant Fogarty is a Vermeer. Okay, so it's 2, 1, and 3, right? 2, this. Okay. I don't know what my progress I've made so far, but I think like I was in 11th grade. Yep, I was in 11th grade. So it's like this, so now I will go to the 11th grade for a very long time. Yep, I was intended to go to 12th grade, but I'm not sure whether or not I can go to that because it was so very challenging, to be honest. Okay, so I'll do this and another